How to sew the gift envelope from the Wrapped In Style collection from Amber Makes. First you need to cut out the pieces. Cut out the gift envelope outer from the fabric panel and then cut out a piece exactly the same side from your own lining fabric. If you place the gift envelope outer right size facing with the lining fabric, cut it together all the way around to make the outer and the lining pieces. Stitching the side seams of the envelope. Place the gift envelope outer right side up so the cut-off corner is at the bottom right. Take your tape measure and mark 1/4 inch down from that top right corner. I'm going to mark this with a long pin so it's easy to see. Now in the bottom left corner, measure and mark 1/4 inch in from the corner. Again, I'm marking this with a pin so it's easy to see. Now take that corner, the cut-off corner, and put the edge of it, the cut-off point, so it meets up with that pin and pin together. Now sew it together all the way down from the top to the bottom. Then it will look like this. Now take the other part of the cut-off corner, the unsewn part, and fold that point of the corner upwards so the edge is right sides facing, and the unsewn edge of that cut-off corner so it meets up exactly with the pin mark. Pin it together so it's right sides facing and sew together from the top to the bottom all the way down. Once that's done, just trim off those corners at the fold. This will help the envelope to lie flatter. Don't cut the stitching, just trim off the corners. Now your envelope is beginning to take shape. Lay the envelope out flat. Push out the corner, ease it out or push it out very gently and open up the seam. Where you've cut off those points, you can see that leaves nice triangular points at the edge so that you haven't got any bulk in your envelope seam. Press open the other seam as well. Now take your iron. These need to be nice and flat so you get a nice neat envelope. Now, repeat this process in exactly the same way with the lining, but this time you need to leave a 1.5 inch gap unstitched in the centre of one of the seams. This is the turning gap that you'll use later. Assembling the envelope. Place the envelope outer inside the envelope lining so that they are right sides facing. Now match together those side seams that you've just stitched and pin together. You've pressed them seam allowances open and flat so it's be easy to do, but it's really important that you get these side seams matching up exactly. Now pin the top curved corner together. Those are your anchoring points. You can now pin it together along the raw edges between the curve point and the side seams. Make sure those raw edges are matching up exactly and pin it together. It will fit together nicely because you've cut them to exactly the same size. Match up the raw edges on the other side between that curved corner and the other side seam and pin together. Now you need to sew it together all the way around the edge using your normal 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once that's done, clip off some of the seam allowance at the curved point. It will just give you a neater finish when you turn it right sides out because there won't be so much bulk in the seam. Also, at the bottom where all those seams meet, there's a lot of layers of fabric. So if you just clip those off, I just cut a small triangle out of the seam allowance. It just helps it to lie flatter when the envelope's assembled. There's no need to cut the rest of the seam allowance because that's nice and straight. It's just that curved corner and then the extra bulk from where the side seams are all matching. Now open it all out. So pull the lining out from the inside, find the turning gap, put your fingers inside and pull the outer through the turning gap so that you turn the whole envelope right sides out. Push out the corners and the side seams and then pin the turning gap closed and sew together close to the edge. Once your turning gap is sewn together, push the lining inside the outer, making sure you push out those points so the pointed bottom edge of the lining matches up with the pointed bottom edge of the outer. Now you need to get the seams lying right on the edge, so just roll them slightly between your fingers so that they're lying right on the edge. It'll help if you press it at this stage before you sew, just to get a neat finish. Again, just roll them. Sometimes it helps to wet your fingers before you do this. The aim here is that the lining can't be seen from the outside. So just take a little bit of time to roll it so that the seam is lying right on the edge. Now top stitch all the way around the edge, just about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Adding the fastener to the envelope. Take a press fastener. You've got a male half and a female half. This is the male half. Place that in the centre of the top of the flap on the lining side and sew it into place. Once this is sewn, fold the flap over onto the back of the envelope to make the envelope shape and give it a press. This will leave a very small indent on the fabric. If you quickly mark this with a pen, you'll be able to see it. Now take the female section of the press fastener and stitch it in place at that mark. Once that's done, you can fold it flat. I sewed a button to the other side just to decorate, and your gift envelope is ready to put gift cards or cash inside.